What is up, W Sports Podcast? Jimothy and Tubby, we are back again because, yes, it is Championship Sunday and it's prediction time for us at the podcast. It's prediction time for you all as well in the chat. So make sure that you guys put your predictions, your biggest takeaways, your biggest things that you're looking for, maybe matchup-wise, as we head into this incredible weekend. Tubby, welcome back to the show.
And we were talking before we got in here. It felt like this whole week just kind of drug on until championship weekend. So I'm ready for some football tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to put together the pieces. Why does it feel like that? And I realize it's the first time since August, like the end of August, that we haven't had football on Saturday. College football, true. NFL football. So it makes it a little bit longer.
Yeah, you're like, man, Saturday's coming football. And then you look and you're like, oh, man.
Yeah,
no football today.
Yeah, and I think two of the teams in the AFC, this is a matchup everyone probably had on paper as a high likelihood, high chance. We've even seen this matchup early in the regular season, and it was a really, really good game. One of the two losses the Chiefs had all year. Honestly, the only loss the Chiefs had that they actually wanted to win. And the Bills now are going to have to go do it on the road. We're going to get to that. You also have the other matchup where it's obviously the Eagles and the Commanders. You have this year's version of C.J. Stroud with Jayden Daniels being electric and just so poised in this game. You have a really good coaching setup. What Dan Quinn has turned around this franchise. And I think a lot of that has to do with the quarterback. But again, he's just getting it done. They have a good culture there right now. And then obviously the Eagles. I mean, this is a team that was here a couple years ago, and they're back. They're back a little bit different though, but they are back.
Yeah, it's no one saw the Commanders Eagles in the NFC Championship game. I don't know how many people even saw the Commanders in the playoffs this year, let alone winning 2 games. And I mean, Jayden Daniels has a chance to make history, be the first rookie quarterback ever to win 3 playoff games in a single postseason.
Yeah, and that is weird. I mean, think back to can you give me maybe a couple of rookie quarterbacks that when you think back to like instant success, right? I mean, obviously we talk about CJ Stroud. He won 1 game last year, won 1 game this year. The first one, as you think about the first one that comes to my mind is Dan Marino. Like he came in, I think it was his rookie year. They actually went to the Super Bowl. They lost. And they're like, look at what the potential of this team, and then never made it back. But that was the first one.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. I mean, rookie quarterbacks typically, when they make it to the play, or even if they make it to the playoffs, they usually get knocked out pretty quick.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, I can't think of too many. I don't know. Really.
So that alone should tell us everything we need to know. And even Dan Marino back then, they didn't have as many playoff games. Just wild card, whatever you want to call it nowadays. There used to be like 4 teams that played, so it's just divisional round, championship round. So, well, let's get right into it. We're going to start with the early game. This is the one again. It's NFC East has got to be ecstatic. Just representing in this game. Who are you seeing as like the most important player for each team in this one?
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the Commanders. I think the most important player for the Commanders is going to be Marcus Lattimore, because I think that the Commanders are going to sell out to try to stop Saquon, or at least bottle him up. And you're going to leave Marcus Lattimore one-on-one with A.J. Brown most of the game, which it's a favorable matchup for Marcus Lattimore. He's not great with the speed wide receivers, but really good with the big physical wide receivers because he's a very physical corner, and we saw he can do against Mike Evans. But I think that for them, if they're going to try to bottle up Saquon as much as they can, they're going to have to be super sound in the secondary, where they've had some issues this year, and they haven't really had Marcus Lattimore a whole lot since the trade. I think this is only like his 3rd, 4th game or something like that. And I think that he's going to have to be the key, because if they're going to force Jalen Hurts to throw the football, they're going to have to slow down A.J. Brown. But I just don't know if the secondary can do it. Honestly, it's just I'm not super confident in their defense going forward. But for the Eagles, I think I want to say Saquon because it seems like, it's the most logical thing, but I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts because he's coming in a little bit banged up, and he hasn't played super great throughout the postseason. And I think that they're going to need him to really elevate his game more than he has for the way he has played this postseason. They're going to need him to elevate his game, get that completion percentage back up to where it was most of the season for them to go forward to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. For Philly, same thing. I'm going to focus. Obviously, you can't. The low hanging fruit is Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
The next one, I think the most important one is going to be Hurts, just like you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think in my mind, though, I'm going to just build off what you said. If it's going to be Hurts, it's got to be AJ Brown. This guy
Mm-hmm.
is, I believe, without in my mind, he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL talent wise, and I need
Yeah.
to see him play like it. And you just talked about the other side of the ball with the Commanders. Marcus Lattimore is going to be the key for them, and whether he stays locked in on him all weekend, all game long, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
he has to be able to win those battles, get a couple big plays, and open up the defense. Because if AJ Brown can do that, that'll obviously free up more space for even Hurts to be scrambling around, or of
Mm-hmm.
course Saquon Barkley to have another 200-yard game ultimately.
Yeah.
So I like both of those picks. I think for the Commanders, in my mind, if it's not Lattimore, it's going to be Daniels. If
Mm-hmm.
he can continue to play mistake-free football, if he can continue just to get the ball with 4.5 minutes left in the first half, the second half, and not give the ball back, I think you're going to be in good position. And I think it's crazy. Obviously, it's crazy to think that this is a season where Jaden Daniels comes in and he has the potential. He literally
Mm-hmm.
has the potential to make a Super Bowl run, and he's doing some of the intangible things that not just throwing the ball all over the place or look at him, he's electric throws. Like he's doing game, like he's shortening the game for people to where it matters who has the ball last.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that this kid is a rookie in the NFL. Granted, he played 5-6 years in college, so he's a little bit more mature than a lot of rookie quarterbacks coming into the league. But the poise that he has played with throughout most of the season and throughout the whole postseason is pretty crazy to think that this is his rookie year. And I mean, the one thing that you look at when you watch quarterbacks, I think the most important passes to see how well their accuracy is those deep out routes. And his deep out route accuracy is up there with pretty much any quarterback in the NFL, if not maybe the best. So it's crazy to think that he's only a rookie. And another, kind of crazy caveat, he's the first Heisman Trophy winner to make it to the NFC Championship in his rookie year since 2006, Reggie Bush. He's the first quarterback ever Heisman Trophy winner to make it to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, that is wild. And that just shows you like the difference sometimes the jump from college to NFL. And not only that, like what you mentioned earlier, is many times rookie quarterbacks are not going to have a good team that they're on, let alone make a deep playoff run. And here we are with Jaden Daniels, and he looks the pieces. I mean, he's playing it. So if there is a slight edge in this game or matchup wise that you feel like this team's, like if it's all even or whatever, this team has the edge because of X, if that makes sense.
Okay. So I think it's going to be the team that has the edge is because of the Eagles defense. The revamped defense for the Eagles has been, one of the best defenses in the NFL this year. They have, given up some yards or whatever during the, postseason, but they are really good in the red zone. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, those two rookies have came in and been really good corners in the NFL right off the bat. Zach Braun has came out and been out of nowhere first team NFL linebacker. Was a special teams player most of his career in New Orleans. And you got like Milton Williams, who's had an incredible breakout season. The defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, those guys are the linchpin for that defense because Jalen Carter is almost unblockable right now. He's one of the most dominant defensive linemen in the NFL. I think the defense is going to be the key for them to be able to slow down Jaden Daniels and make him look like a rookie. They have to make him look like a rookie. No other team's been able to do it so far in the playoffs, but if there's a defense in the NFC that could do it, it would be the Eagles.
Yeah, I really like that statement. If I'm going to flip it to the other side, I think it would be the Eagles. It's Saquon Barkley. If Barkley can do just what Barkley does, then he is the edge factor for this game. But Eagles defense has absolutely transformed the last couple of weeks, and shut down teams, right? Just
Yeah.
or broken their hearts at the last moment. So, tell me any final thoughts before we make a prediction for this game.
I think one aspect that I think people are going to look past in this game is going to be the coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the biggest Nick Sirianni fan. He has moments where he kind of goes off the rails, goes a little crazy. I think that Dan Quinn is more of a composed, culture building guy. And I think that that could be one of the biggest advantages in this game that a lot of people aren't looking at is the composure and the culture that he's already built so far in with the Commanders could be a difference maker for them if they have a chance at making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we text back and forth about this a little while back, and I was like, he just seems like the light version of not Dan Quinn. I almost said Dan Quinn's light version of Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And both of them are very similar in their style and what they're bringing to the team. So it's been good. Who you got in this game, Tubby?
So early before the season, I picked Chiefs versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl. I'm going with the Eagles. I'm going to stick with my pick. I think the Eagles make it, and I think that Jalen Hurts has a game. Injuries, he goes out there, plays good, even with the injuries, and the defense is going to be the biggest factor for them getting to it.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say if you have Saquon Barkley, you have the defensive line and the defensive front, just in general, the front seven that have really transformed them. And then you're also at home. Wow, I think that's a lot for Washington to overcome. I think they're building on something good for the future, but give me the Eagles in this game as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so all right, well, let's move on to the AFC Championship game. We got Bills and Chiefs. Again, this is a game that we already saw once this year, and it was a good game, and it took a Superman effort on fourth and I think two, where Josh Allen essentially made this a two-possession game with less than 2 minutes left, and that was just too much to overcome. That was the blueprint. That's the blueprint to beat the Chiefs. If anybody wanted to know how do you beat the Chiefs, it's you go for the throw. You don't go for the win, you go for the throw. And here's the tall order. You're going to be doing it on the road, where I believe the Bills this year are 5-4, I think, on the road. I'll look that up real quick as we go into this. But Chiefs are obviously the home field advantage in this one, and it's the weather doesn't look like it's going to be a big factor. It is truthfully, just a January day. So that being said, I was correct. I just fact checked it. It is 5-4 on the road, where the Chiefs they are undefeated 8-0 at home this year. So Tubby, I mean, with that being said, biggest X factors for this game. What do you got?
So I think for the Bills, the biggest X factor is going to be James Cook. They have to get James Cook going. He has to be the catalyst for this offense outside of Josh Allen. They don't have a go-to guy in the past game. Dalton Kincaid's kind of stepped up a little bit so far through the playoffs, with this down regular season he had. But there's not truthfully a wide receiver on that team that you look at and go, I can just throw it to him when I need to. James Cook is going to have to get going on the ground in the pass game for them to have a chance against a vaunted Chiefs defense.
Who are you feeling it is for Kansas City in this case? If it's James Cook and they got to, obviously we talked about this, for years now. Got to run the ball, and James Cook this year specifically has only been a top 5 running back in the rusher, but he's also found the end zone a ton. So I love that pick as well. But what is it for the Chiefs on the other side?
For the Chiefs, it's not one player. It's the whole offensive line. You got to keep Patrick Mahomes clean. We've seen the offensive line struggle throughout the season. They seem like they've somewhat righted the boat a little bit, though they had to move their all-pro guard out to left tackle. But you have to keep them clean. That's the key to this game, because the Bills are going to do whatever they can to hit the quarterback. They're going to line up blitzes. They're going to, bring in Von Miller on those passing downs to try to get to the quarterback. Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver's had an incredible playoffs. He was a big factor in that Ravens game, getting to Lamar Jackson, getting in the backfield, hitting Derrick Henry early. I think that's going to be the key for the Chiefs is can the offense line, especially the tackles, keep Patrick Mahomes clean.
Yeah, and they the tackles specifically that position has been a
Hmm.
crutch for them on some of the drives where I think you've seen them have to settle for more field goals or punting when in the past they've just been in position to continue on. And
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, like they have to control the game. And so here it is for the Bills. This is again low hanging fruit. I'm sorry, but it has to be for the Bills. It has to be Josh Allen because if like he has to make the right decisions, no turnovers. He also has to be able to push the ball down the field. I don't know that they can win with the same game plan that they did last week.
No.
Maybe they could, but I just feel like when you look at the Ravens should have won that game and they
Hmm.
lost. Um, and I don't think it was because Allen was great. I think in this game you're going to have it be great.
Hmm.
And I apologize again. Low hanging fruit. I hate doing that. I'm not doing that for this game for the Chiefs. It absolutely is going to be the crowd. It's 5-4. The Bills team is 5-4 on the road, and now they're going to be playing the Chiefs at home in the seventh consecutive AFC championship game. In my mind, if the crowd is engaged and locked in, no matter if the momentum is there or not, if they can stay locked in,
Hmm.
watch out. Watch out because that is, I mean, it literally can mean the difference on having to use a timeout at the wrong time.
Hmm.
Um, all those little details, it's going to come into play.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, in that fact, is there an edge to this game that you have? This is such a funny question. I feel like.
Yeah. This is a difficult one because I think they match up so well against each other, but I'm still going to give the edge to the Kansas City Chiefs defense. Maybe it hasn't been the best, defense we've seen Kansas City have in the last, 4 or 5 years, but it's still so good. It's crazy. And then, like we've said the last, 4 years that we've been doing this, Steve Spagnuolo is a different coach when it comes playoff time. He may not show all of his gadgets and blitz schemes and all this stuff throughout the season because he knows, hey, we're going to win enough to get to the playoffs. Once it comes to playoffs, then we'll show some exotic stuff that we haven't shown all season, that teams haven't seen, so they can't plan for it. I think it's going to be the defense plus Steve Spagnuolo, you know,
Yeah.
designing stuff that Josh Allen hasn't seen this year from the Kansas City Chiefs.
He continuously holds things back all
Yeah.
regular season long, and you're like, that's why obviously that Broncos 38-0 game we
Mm-hmm.
drove him insane to only
Yeah.
cover two, like he's just so mad. And then you see him this, and he dials it in or at the right moment with the right blitz, with the right, all those things. I 100% agree with that. The other thing I want to note is Charles Omenihu.
Mm-hmm.
He was out for the game against the Bills the first time. Since he's come back, you've seen Chris Jones be more effective. You see
Mm-hmm.
Karlaftis have more plays in the backfield, just flat
Yeah.
out. Even they've had more picks, but some of the key secondary players. And I think it's just one of those small pieces that when you have them all there, it makes all the difference. It's like in baseball,
Yeah.
whenever you have a solid number two versus
Yep.
just the wrong depth,
Yeah.
okay
Mm-hmm.
three pitching that same spot. So
Yeah.
it slides everything into place and you set yourself up to win. So I really, really love that. The edge piece for me, again, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. It's just hard. Again, low hanging fruit until someone does beat him, which has happened. Joe Burrow did it a couple years ago. And honestly, that was because Patrick Mahomes got in his own head and he couldn't get out of it. So if they can find a way to do that, take away the momentum, whether it's through turnovers or through back-breaking fourth down plays that just don't go right, and they turn
Mm-hmm.
over on downs, things like that, could take away that edge. And right now, oh, and I do want to say a little side note: the
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are going to have to get some kind of game. A good game, not a massive game, but a good game from either Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, or obviously DeAndre Hopkins. If they don't do
Mm-hmm.
that, I don't know that they're going to have the ability to spread the ball out enough to make the Bills just trust that other things could happen, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. No, I get you.
So, all right. So it comes down to all that. All right,
Mm-hmm.
tell me, give us a prediction on this game. Who you got?
I mean, I got to stick with my guns. I picked Chiefs Eagles game of the season, and until someone can beat the Chiefs, you just can never count them out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. I was texting with Matt Grace, the guy that won the giveaway, the first giveaway. He got the extra uh, entries for the giveaway this month, and he was like, "Man, I just can't stand the Chiefs. I hope the Bills win." And I'm like, "You're a Patriots fan. Now you see how football how football fans felt when Tom Brady was there.
It's
You
so
just
bad.
knew that there was a good chance that you see Tom Brady in the playoffs, he's going to win. And it's so hard to beat him. And I think that's what it is with the Chiefs. Everyone hates the Chiefs right now because they're winning. But until someone can beat them, I just can't pick against the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I'm in the same way. It's at home, 5-4, 8-0. That record alone is a pretty big thing to overcome. It's
Mm-hmm.
playoff football. It's the Chiefs, Spagnuolo. There's so many things in my mind. I'm like, maybe if this is in Buffalo, it might feel a little bit different. I mean, obviously they played
Mm-hmm.
last year in Buffalo. They did win the game, and Buffalo honestly played almost a perfect game. But they honestly just they played a little bit differently. I think they've learned their lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what's a little bit scary. But I think it's going to come down to one possession, one last
Yep.
play. Who has the ball
Probably.
last is probably going to be the one that wins it. But give me the Chiefs in this one. Probably like a 24-23 final. It's going to be, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game, but low scoring,
Mm-hmm.
incredibly intense. It's going to be a great game. And I'm glad it's the night game too. Really glad about that.
Yeah, the NFL got it right. There's no way the Eagles Commanders could have been in that game over the Chiefs.
You can't bring that
Bills.
East Coast,
No.
stuff like that all the way over. So, all right. So that is all of our championship. I'd love to know your picks. So make sure you put that in the chat. If you can't hear, I apologize. I have some stuff going on in the background at my house here with some contractors. They're doing some really good work, but yeah. I got to record the podcast at the same time. Let's talk about some of the head coaching spots, the changes that have happened so far. There's still a couple things that haven't happened. We got Schottenheimer getting essentially upgraded, I guess, in Dallas.
Yeah.
The Bears hired Ben Johnson. Jets get Aaron Glenn. The Jags situation was wild with Liam Cohen, and Raiders get Pete Carroll. Texans fire their OC. And then and their offensive line coach, which I can get that one, but there's a lot of little moving pieces. Is there one of these that you want to really lean into and talk about?
I mean, Bears hit it out of the park. I love the Ben Johnson hire for Caleb Williams, but I'm going to talk about the Cowboys, which I know everyone's probably like, but you're talking about the Cowboys. The fact that you promote Brian Schottenheimer, who had the 21st ranked offense this year. Yeah, granted, Dak was out, and maybe it could have been a little bit higher. But the fact that that's the coach that you went with, when you had a guy like Kellen Moore that was like, man, I want this job really good, who's been a really good, offense coordinator in the NFL. Look what he's done with the Eagles this year. Been offense coordinator for the Cowboys. You just think that, okay, perfect match. And you go out and hire Brian you're not really hire, you promote Brian Schottenheimer. And it's all because Jerry Jones knows I can control that guy. He has to have someone in there that he can control. I think that was the biggest, drawback when you looked at maybe Deion, besides the buyout that Jerry Jones would have had to pay to Colorado. It was, well, I can't really control Deion so much. But Brian Schottenheimer, I can control that guy. And
talk about a yes man.
Yeah, it's like the Jason Garrett type, promotion. Yeah, you guys been in the system, whatever, but all you did was just basically stay right where you've been for the last 30 years. And you're going to see the same thing over and over again, where they fail to reach expectations like they have every single year. It just, I don't understand it.
Yeah, well, I think the expectations at this point are 9 wins, and I don't even know that they're going to reach those. And that's like, oh my goodness, where are we at now at this point? And I think that's really true. What are the Cowboys doing? There were so many better hires that could have happened in this one. Yeah. I just don't like it. And part of it is the fact is Dallas right now. Like Jerry Jones wants a yes guy, and if he doesn't get it, he's going to say, well, I'm going to go find someone else to do it because I'm the Dallas Cowboys, and who doesn't want to coach there? Plus, there's only 32 spots in the NFL to be a head coach. Like that's it. There's such a limited capacity for it, and you don't have a long window unless you're the Cowboys. The one hire is the Jets. I would like to talk about is Aaron Glenn is a guy besides Ben Johnson. The Lions, they're going to have to. This is a big vacancy. We're going to have to see what it looks like next year for them, and how do they get healthy, and make sure they didn't close this window too fast. Right? Yeah. They don't be the Bengals. You look at Aaron Glenn and the Jets team. Do not bring, first off, the Jets, this is a hard job. This is a difficult job. You're in the media. It's a really tough one. That they want instant success, and they have had bad culture really since Rex Ryan's middle of his coaching tenure. They just have not been good. I look at this guy, and I'm like, he's going to bring a lot of the great culture that's at Detroit. I think he's going to carry that with him. If you don't let Aaron Rodgers come back,
Mhm.
and you need to go find a quarterback who's kind of like Jared Goff,
Yeah.
and he's going to bring it in, and he's going to just bring people around him that can honestly also handle the limelight of the New York media, because you can't bring in Jared Goff and hope that he does the same, because Detroit's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
But you got to find the right guy who can lead that team. I do like the hire for the Jets. I'm sad because I don't like the hire for him. I don't know. I think he
Mhm.
could have ended in a better spot. That I think he could have had easier success in a place that gives him more time, because I think he's a time guy. He's going to
Yeah.
bring it in, and just like Dan Campbell, he's going to need some time, right? Uh,
Mhm.
because this thing is in shambles.
Yeah.
But the pieces are there. They have a scrappy defense. They have
Mhm.
Brees Hall. I mean, they have Wilson. I don't know what they're going to do with Adams, but like, you have some of the pieces here to build something special. And I'm just worried that he, as good a coach as he is, will not get the window that he deserves.
Yeah. I thought the fit for him was New Orleans. Played there, coached
Could have seen
there.
that one too.
I thought that was the place he was going to end up. I mean, maybe he didn't want to go there and deal with the whole cap, situation that they've been dealing with for the last 3 or 4 years. But yeah, I thought that was the spot for him. Also, I just want to talk about Bobby Slowick getting fired. I don't understand that one bit at all. I don't get it at all. I understand that the offense wasn't as good this year as it was last year, but a big part of that was due to the offensive line. I understand firing the offensive line coach, bring someone else in, but the fact that you fired Bobby Slowick, who was one of the top coach candidates last year in the coaching carousel,
Yeah, it felt quick.
one of the better offensive minds I think in the NFL right now, the fact that you fire him after the second season just because you had a down year when you had Stephon Diggs get hurt, you had Nico Collins out for an extended
Tank
period of time,
Dell.
Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, and then on top of that, the terrible offensive line I thought was way too quick of a firing. Someone's going to get themselves a great offense coordinator. If I'm the Bucks, that's who I'm calling up right now after losing Liam Cohen. I think that he would be a great fit there. But yeah, I don't understand that one from D'Amico Ryan's standpoint. I love D'Amico, but I think he made a big mistake.
Yeah. Do you feel one? I would agree with those. Yes. Real quick on the Pete Carroll hiring for
Yeah.
Vegas, is this the right hire? He's very different from what they've done in the
Mm-hmm.
past. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a coach with his
Mm-hmm.
mindset around football where it's been there.
I think it's a good hire for them, honestly. I don't. Yeah, exactly. I
Poor
hate it
Pete.
for Pete. Yeah, because he has to deal with the Davis family. But I think it's a great hire for them because we know what Pete Carroll can bring as a head coach when it comes to culture and building the teams. We've seen it before up in Seattle. He had teams that no one expected to really compete,
Hmm.
make it to the playoffs, and compete in the playoffs. I think he could, given time, he can do that in Las Vegas. Whether or not they give him the time, we know how fast they are, pulling the trigger on those coaches and getting rid of them. But if you give them the time, let them find a quarterback, come in, build a team, I think it could be a good situation for them because, like you said, we haven't seen them hire a guy like this in some time. Maybe since the first time they hired John Gruden when he came in and kind of changed the culture and took him to the Super Bowl and all that stuff. I think that that's the one thing that they have been missing is finding someone that can build a culture within that team
Well,
and change the look of what the
so
Vegas Raiders are.
so you say that. What's the
Mm-hmm.
first step they have to do?
I mean, any anytime you're building a team, you got to build from the inside out. You got to build the defense line, you got to build the offense line, and then eventually you're gonna have to find your quarterback. Go get you a placeholder quarterback right now because I don't think Aiden O'Connell's the deal. I don't think that anyone that they have in the organization right now is the quarterback. So I think you got to go out and find like a placeholder quarterback. Maybe call up the Falcons and be like, hey, what do you want for Kirk Cousins?
Yeah,
At least
because
bring in
that
a guy
price is
that
going to come down.
yeah, at least bring in a guy that knows he can be a solid NFL quarterback. I don't know if he's ever going to be what he was up in Minnesota again, but he's much better than what you got on your team right now. And he's a culture guy. He can help build that culture within that organization.
As this team, would they have been better off the Raiders keeping Derek Carr originally?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man, and I like this right here. Grid on the Gridiron says, "Call up Rogers." There's your guy. And I cannot see the style coaching of Pete Carroll bringing in a guy with the style of football
Ever.
culture of Aaron Rodgers. This is go.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Make it
No,
3 weeks in
that's
preseason.
a
That's it.
disaster waiting to happen. No, no team should call up Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers needs to retire.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, that's great. I appreciate the chat grit on the gridiron. That was great. Well, yeah. It was. I mean, looking at all these pieces, the one I think the people you said, I don't want to not give it enough time, but real quick, Johnson in a team that is the Bears, who were 4-1, drop all the way only to 5 wins this year. Last year, this is worse than the team last year did
Yeah.
performance wise. But there are pieces there, and they think, hey, he can actually piece together Caleb Williams and make him even better. What is the chance of that?
I love the chance. I'm still big Caleb Williams fan. I still think Caleb Williams has all the talent, everything to be a really good NFL quarterback. And I think Brian Johnson is that guy that can, really get the best out of him. We saw what he was able to do with Jared Goff, turn Jared Goff's career around. And we'll see what Jared Goff does this year without Brian Johnson. But I think that he is able to do that with Caleb Williams and a young, more moldable quarterback, and build in some of these tendencies that Caleb isn't quite used to, getting rid of the ball faster, not extending plays too much, using your legs when you need to, but not just kind of running around in circles and in the backfield and taking sacks. And then you're going to have to get him an offensive line. Whether I've seen conflicting stuff, I don't know exactly what's happening. The offensive line coach from Detroit, I've seen, he's going with Ryan Johnson. He's going to be the offense coordinator. Oh, he's not going. He's staying in Detroit. Then I see it again. Oh, no, he's going to Dallas, or he's going to Chicago, going to be the offense coordinator, the offensive line coach. I don't know. But if they can do that, we saw the offense line that guy's been able to build there in Detroit. If they can bring him in and build that offensive line for the Bears, you could be talking about a scary team in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I do like that. And real quick, someone did ask, do you think Wilson could end up in Vegas with Pete, reunite?
I could see that. I really could. I think that it would be, like you said, they need a placeholder quarterback. And as much flack as Russell Wilson has gotten over the last couple of years, he played good this year. He really did. And I think it was just the whole situation with everything that in Pittsburgh. I don't like Arthur Smith. I don't think he's a great offense coordinator. The run game was lacking. The drama with George Pickens, really stood out, especially late in the season when it was the worst time possible, pushing for the playoffs. I think it could be a good fit, but the problem is you're going to have to find someone to throw the ball to, because the only person he's got there
Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers.
And I don't know how much Wilson likes the tight ends historically. Now, maybe that changes when you have someone has do what?
He had Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, but Jimmy Graham was just a shell of himself within a very quick period.
He threw the ball quite a bit to Pat Freiermuth, too.
I would like it. I know. I'm just saying, maybe it changes when you have a guy like Brock Bowers. But
Brock Bowers is a difference maker tight end.
Yeah. As we wrap up this show, I just want to, I was thinking about this morning as we were preparing. I was like, you know what? This has been the first season that we've had where we did 4 episodes per week. Like, that was the plan. That was the rhythm. And then as the playoffs are gone, we've kind of for, just scheduling conflicts. We've had to adjust that a little bit. But even like today, like we have a live episode, all that stuff. And we've kind of transitioned most of our content all the way over to YouTube specifically. And we know that that's kind of hard to follow at times. And so we apologize for that, but we want to say thank you guys so much for the continued support that y'all have, for hitting subscribe. Grit on the Gridiron, really appreciate you, man, for being in the chat today, and love your thoughts too. So thank you for subbing. That is the easiest way to support the channel, and we are truly, truly grateful for those who do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You actually are eligible for a giveaway that we do every single month, and this month we do have a giveaway. We'll probably announce that one in the next week or so. I'm assuming Tubby we'll do the drawing for it. There's someone who did get the guess, as we do have hints throughout the month to get extra shot at this. But that's the easiest way, is just make sure you are subbed to the show. It goes a long way. And thanks again. I can't say thank you enough. We can't say thank you enough for being part of the show by subbing and coming back, even though it's a little bit of a different rhythm as we figure out how does the rhythm work as the season goes on. It's real easy in the regular season to have a rhythm, because it's all the same, right? And then everything changes. But the cool thing is tomorrow we'll have another episode with college football stuff as we break down the championship game a little bit. And then we're going to look forward to some early prediction storylines in the college football world. And then Monday, we're also going to release release an episode specifically about baseball. Maybe it goes on Tuesday, one of the two. We'll decide based off recording as we recap Championship Sunday following that. So all that to be said, you want to make sure you're subbed. If you're not already, please go ahead and consider subbing. If you haven't already shared the show with someone who would love the show, send it out, share it to them, send them the video, say, hey, what do you got? What do you think of this? This is a fun podcast. Anything like that would go a long way. Tubby, myself, Jimothy, we'd greatly appreciate it. Any thoughts, Tubby?
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't sum it up any better.
Okay, well, there we go. All right, well, we are excited about it. Hope you all enjoy the day, the weekend of Championship Sunday. We'll see y'all hopefully tomorrow on the show. Till then, see y'all later.
See ya.
See ya.